Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to talk to you about the Baker Act and the time that somebody can be held in a facility or a state hospital. Now, you can read online that the maximum under the Baker Act is 6 months. And I know sometimes people call me and they say, well, it's only 72 hours. And I tell them when it comes to an involuntary Baker Act, because remember there's two, voluntary and involuntary. 72 hours is just the beginning. The max is 6 months. But a lot of the time people call and they say, well, how long can my loved one be held for? And in my head, I'm saying to myself, well, what difference does it really make? If your loved one is being held illegally, why would you leave them there any longer than necessary? In other words, if they're there for a day and they shouldn't be there, if they're there for 2 days or a week, or 2 weeks, or a month, or 3 months, or 6 months, how long are you going to wait to get them out? And so that's sort of the question, and perhaps you could share with me, you could answer for me, because I'm wondering, is there a point where it would be okay for your loved one to stay for, say, 3 days, or 5 days, or 7 days, or 10 days? And truthfully, I don't know what the answer to that is, because for every person that calls us, it's a little bit different. But in my world, and in my world, just so you know, as I think I've shared before, I've had a family member Baker Acted, and I was there with the police and their paramedics and watched them strap this individual to a gurney and take her away. So I'm very familiar on a personal level with the Baker Act, and I also know what it feels like from a family perspective to see somebody that you love taken away against their will. And so my feeling is, and my position has been really since we started doing this work, and I started doing this work not long after it happened to me, is that you shouldn't wait at all. You shouldn't wait but 1 second longer than you absolutely have to. And the time to fight to get your loved one out is as soon as you find out that it's actually occurred. And there's a multitude of reasons for that, but a few of them are, and I'll give you just sort of my off the top of my head laundry list. Number one, nobody knows that your loved one's there, so the facility doesn't care if they violate the statute. Number two, you can't sue them for this. They are an agent of the state's mental health system, and as such, they enjoy immunity, and it's right there in the statute in black and white for you to read. Number three, horrible things happen to people in Baker Act facilities, such as the facility medicates them intentionally to make it look like they're suffering from a mental health disorder when they're not. Or the facility deprives the person of medication that they've already been prescribed by a doctor to make it look like they're having some type of mental health crisis. And then I guess the other reason you want to get somebody out is because I've seen people be physically abused. I had a client who was raped. I had another client who was physically beaten. I had one client who was allowed to go when they should have kept him, and then he blew his brains out. So horrible things happen to people when they're Baker Acted. And so while I understand, maybe you say, well, a couple of days isn't going to make any difference. My feeling is that the minute your loved one has been detained is when you should be looking to get them out, because it's not designed to treat them. This is not what the Baker Act is for. It's not a treatment statute. And if your loved one goes in there and they have health insurance, any kind of health insurance, private, government, whatever it happens to be, they have a target on their back. They have a target for the facility to try and keep them. Now, there are some facilities that do a good job. They follow the statute and they use the Baker Act for the purpose for which it was intended. I'm focused on those facilities that are unscrupulous, that don't follow the law, that only care about making money, and they do not care about taking care of patients. Those are the facilities I go after, and I see them over and over and over again. And I wouldn't leave my dog sitting there for 1 minute longer than I have to. So that's my feeling, that's my position. And perhaps you'd be willing to share how long you're willing to let your loved one sit in a facility before you're willing to take action to get them out. Anyway, I want to share that with you. These things always come up, and I appreciate you listening to me. I'd love a thumbs up and a subscription to the channel. And see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.